Hello, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues. My name is Thomas Müller. I am with the Friedrich Loeffler Institute, which is the Federal Research Institute for Animal Health in Germany. Together with my colleague Konrad Freuling, I am running the VOA Reference Laboratory for Rabies and the WHO Collaborating Center for Rabies Surveillance and Research. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers of this workshop in Qatar for inviting me and for the opportunity to give a presentation on the importance of efficient mass dog vaccination campaigns against rabies. Before I go into the details, I would first like to briefly remind you of the background of today's workshop. As you know, dog-mediated rabies is a major health problem, especially in low and middle income countries in Asia and Africa, where the burden of disease is highest. Unfortunately, in the 21st century, rabies still causes an estimated 60,000 human deaths worldwide annually. And it is a matter of fact that 99% of human rabies cases result from dog bites. And this makes it actually very clear that controlling rabies in dogs is of utmost importance if rabies in humans is to be prevented. So vaccinating dogs against rabies saves human lives. But just vaccinating single dogs is not enough. Only when a large proportion of the dog population in a given area is immune to rabies can the cycle of infection be broken. That's why mass dog vaccination is key to herd immunity. So how does this actually work? The scheme presented here in this slide illustrates the concept of the basic reproduction number called R0 and the potential for controlling and eliminating rabies through mass dog vaccination. As you can see here, when adequate levels of dog vaccination coverage are obtained, the effective reproduction number R falls below 1. Transmission is interrupted, canine rabies is brought under control and will ultimately be eliminated. However, the effectiveness of your campaigns determines the dynamics of this process. In other words, the more effective the mass vaccination campaigns, the quicker you will see success. Parenteral vaccination is the only approach used for addressing canine rabies at scale. However, while there are numerous success stories on parenteral mass dog vaccination campaigns, there are also reports on increased inadequacies of this approach. This table here shows examples from the published literature of vaccination campaigns that have met or failed to meet vaccination targets. So one might ask why vaccination programs such as those shown on the right are unsuccessful in terms of vaccination coverage. So what problem could be behind this? And one of the main problems, among others, is free-roaming dogs. Free-roaming dogs are actually abundant everywhere, in Asia, in Africa, in Latin America, and even in the Mediterranean, and can vary greatly in numbers. These animals play an important role in the transmission of rabies virus and the maintenance of the chain of infection. So the question is, how to reach them best for vaccination then? The use of teams to catch, vaccinate, and release dogs, as shown on the left-hand side, who chase after every dog is, of course, not an option. Instead, an approach where dogs are coming to the vaccinator, as shown here on the right-hand side, in anticipation for food, would be an ideal solution. And this is where oral rabies vaccination comes in, because it is a promising solution for vaccinating free-roaming dogs. Basically, it's like feeding the dogs, as you can see here on the left-hand side. You offer the dog a bait containing the liquid vaccine, as shown on the right-hand side, and whilst chewing on it, the vaccine is released into the mouth cavity and absorbed via the tonsils and mucous membranes. Done. Oral rabies vaccination of dogs is actually not a new idea. It is actually a revival of an old idea. And even the WHO and VOA are promoting the increased use of oral vaccination of dogs in the fight against canine rabies. As a result, the tripartite has recently issued new recommendations on oral vaccination of dogs for field application and for integration into dog rabies control programs. And this comprehensive document covers 5 main modules, including the vaccine itself, the vaccine baits, regulatory affairs, distribution systems, and campaign activities. One challenge for mass dog vaccination campaigns is the effect of population turnover and natural mortality. The figure on the left shows the decline in vaccination coverage resulting from annual mass vaccination campaigns due to birth of susceptible pups and natural mortality of vaccinated dogs, as indicated by the blue line. And the coverage sustained through programs that ensure that puppies and other unvaccinated dogs are vaccinated throughout the year, as indicated by the green line. While evidence suggests that control of dog rabies could be achieved at vaccination levels lower than 70%, this threshold provides a useful target in low and middle income countries where dog vaccination is usually implemented during annual campaigns and where dog populations are typically characterized by high birth and death rates. As a result, population immunity declines rapidly between campaigns, and a campaign target of 70% is required for population immunity to remain at all times above the critical level. This clearly highlights that one campaign makes no difference and that long-term planning of mass dog vaccination campaigns is of utmost importance. Assuming that you aim for and achieve a vaccination coverage rate of 70%, the minimum planning period for your campaigns is 5 to 6 years until elimination can be achieved. Intelligent planning is everything. Fortunately, there are planning tools for the implementation of mass dog vaccination campaigns available that will guide you regarding the calculation of appropriate numbers of parenteral and oral rabies vaccine doses you need to use to achieve these goals. However, there are a lot of things to consider if it comes to the planning of efficient mass dog vaccination campaigns against rabies. As mentioned before, strategic planning is key for efficient rabies control, and this usually is laid down in a national strategic plan. If it comes to coverage, we have learned that you need to aim for high vaccination coverage in your dog population to create herd immunity. And in order to do this, you need to know how many dogs are actually living in your country. So estimation of the dog population is of utmost importance if you want rabies control to become a success story. Also, you need to make up your mind about your target population. In other words, identify high-risk areas and prioritize mass dog vaccination campaigns in those regions before you scale up. Another point to consider is logistics. You need to have plans available for efficient vaccine delivery, transportation, storage, and personnel available. If it comes to resources, ensure adequate funding is available, vaccines and supplies for consecutive campaigns are there. Another important point is community engagement. This to build trust, raise awareness among people, and encourage participation in mass dog vaccination campaigns. Monitoring and evaluation of your campaigns will tell you how effective were the campaigns and what is the vaccination coverage achieved. Surveillance is of utmost importance. It is actually the laboratory confirmation of the presence or absence of rabies in a given area, and as such is a success indicator for your dog rabies control program. Sustainability is another important issue. So you need to develop strategies to sustain vaccination efforts over time. And last but not least, collaboration. Without coordination with relevant stakeholders to maximize impacts, the likelihood that your mass dog vaccination campaigns will be successful are decreasing. Last but not least, a very important point, as mentioned already several times, is the constant evaluation of the efficiency of your campaigns. This is actually quite simple. Rabies surveillance, not serology, is the key indicator of the success of your dog rabies control program. So in terms of money and effort spent, your campaigns are only successful if the number of rabies cases decreases over time. So the best way to consider all these issues is to come up with a national strategic plan. To maximize your country's efforts against rabies, it is strongly recommended that you aim for WOHA endorsement of your official dog rabies control program. So why apply to have your official dog rabies control program endorsed? There are tangible benefits of such an endorsement by a leading international organization, such as the World Organization for Animal Health, including international recognition of the capacities of the veterinary services and other competent authorities of your country in zoonotic disease control. You will have wider access to international expertise and capacity building activities. And there will be increased political and financial engagement of governments and rabies investors in rabies elimination. The WOA endorsement is a relatively new initiative. However, there are already a few countries in Africa and Asia which were successful in getting their dog rabies control program endorsed, including Namibia, the Philippines, and Zambia. So mass dog vaccination campaigns can really make a difference. We just need to give it a chance. So thank you for your attention and good luck with your dog rabies elimination programs. And please do not forget, we aim all at ending human deaths from dog-mediated rabies by 2030.